Pictured, Capital Gazette shooter Jarrod W Ramos who killed 5 journalists in vendetta. A man armed with smoke grenades and a shotgun attacked journalists at a newspaper in Maryland's capital, killing 5 people before police quickly stormed the building and arrested him, police and witnesses said. Police said the suspect was a white man in his late 30s whose shotgun rampage at the Capital Gazette followed social media threats directed at the newspaper. A law enforcement official said the suspect has been identified as Jarrod W Ramos. Authorities said a gunman entered the building in a targeted attack and looked for his victims. Despite the shooting, the newspaper has vowed to publish and this morning tweeted its front page. He had smoke grenades and fired a shotgun at his victims, according to Anne Arundel County Acting Police Chief William Krampf. This person was prepared today to come in. This person was prepared to shoot people. His intent was to cause harm, Mr. Krampf said. Among the victims was veteran journalist and columnist Rob Hyacinth, 59, brother of novelist Carl Hyacinth. Carl Hyacinth said he was devastated and heartsick at the loss of his brother, one of the most gentle and funny people I've ever known. 3 other journalists and a staffer were killed, editorial page editor Gerald Fishman, special publications editor Wendy Winters, writer John McNamara, and sales assistant Rebecca Smith. pic.twitter.com/diaged15k, Capital Gazette, at CapGazNews, June 29, 2018. Mr. Krampf said a gunman was a Maryland resident and search warrants were being sought for his home. Phil Davis, a reporter who covers courts and crime for the paper, tweeted that the gunman shot out the glass door to the office and fired into the newsroom, sending people scrambling for cover under desks. A single shooter shot multiple people at my office, some of whom are dead, he wrote. Mr. Davis added, "There is nothing more terrifying than hearing multiple people get shot while you're under your desk and then hear the gunman reload." The attacker had mutilated his fingers in an apparent attempt to make it harder to identify him, according to a law enforcement official. Another official said investigators identified the man using facial recognition technology. The shooting, which came amid months of verbal and online attacks on the fake news media, prompted New York City police to immediately tighten security at news organizations in the nation's media capital. To view this video, please enable JavaScript, and consider upgrading to a web browser that supports HTML5. Video active shooter 888 bestgate. Please help us, Anthony Messenger, at AMSCapGaz, June 28, 2018. To view this video, please enable JavaScript, and consider upgrading to a web browser that supports HTML5. Video at the White House, spokeswoman Lindsay Walters said, "There is no room for violence, and we stick by that. Violence is never tolerated in any form, no matter whom it is against." Authorities said the suspect was undergoing questioning by detectives. In 2012, Ramos filed a defamation lawsuit against the paper, alleging he was harmed by an article about his conviction in a criminal harassment case a year earlier. The suit was dismissed by a judge who wrote Ramos had not shown anything that was published about you is, in fact, false. An appeals court later upheld the dismissal. Mr. Krampf confirmed 5 deaths and said 2 people had superficial wounds. Authorities had said earlier that several people were gravely wounded. Police spokesman Lieutenant Ryan Frasher said officers raced to the scene, arriving in 60 seconds, and took the suspect into custody without an exchange of gunfire. About 170 people in all were evacuated from the building as a multitude of police cars and other emergency vehicles converged on the scene. People could be seen leaving the building with their hands up. The newspaper is part of Capital Gazette Communications, which also publishes the Maryland Gazette and CapitalGazette.com. In an interview with the Capital Gazette's online site, Mr. Davis said it was like a war zone inside the newspaper's offices. A situation that would be hard to describe for a while. "I'm a police reporter. I write about this stuff, not necessarily to this extent, but shootings and death, all the time," he said. "But as much as I'm going to try to articulate how traumatizing